staunch advocate for our rights. This person is also responsible for many of us being here today and being members of MARA. He's also been an infamous thorn in the side of many liberal groups. Okay? Now, to talk about this person a little bit more, I want to call on Tim Sullivan.
Sullivan, and I'm from MARA 9. I also serve on the Republican State Committee as well. And for those of you who know me, I normally don't read stuff, but I'm going to read this today because I kind of wanted to get it right. So, and you'll figure out who we're talking about real quick. So tonight, we're going to honor Mr. Dave Kopacz. So I'm going to do it for you. Dave, as you know, was the president of the Massachusetts Republican Assembly for the past 4 years. All right. Let me start by saying that nobody in MARA, nobody, has earned more respect from me than Dave Kopacz has. He's one of those precious few who always put principle before politics. And as MARA president, he always put assembly principles first. Mr. Kopacz has never turned his back on a single principled MARA candidate and has always been firm but fair with any candidate who strayed from MARA's goals or principles. Mr. Kopacz has dealt with numerous controversies as well as numerous successes with great leadership by allowing true conservatives to do what they do naturally to help grow MARA. What used to be 1 step forward, then 2 steps back with MARA, changed to 2 steps forward and 1 step back because of all of you under Dave's leadership. Did you know that just over 4 years ago, the more moderate folks that had assumed control over MARA conducted a kangaroo court just before the convention and disqualified a few of our most conservative, staunch conservatives that MARA had just prior to the convention. They kicked them out. All right, including a lot of folks that were going to run for high office at the state level of MARA. Do you know that many of us, and looking around the room, I know a lot of you were here at that convention just over 4 years ago. Vic was there, Charlie Chase was there from Chapter 4, I know Ron was there. I look around and see so many faces that were there 4 years ago. A lot of us, despite that kangaroo court that punched us in the stomach and took a lot of wind out of our sails, we still went. And we took over MARA. We kicked the moderates out of MARA with that election. Did you know that Dave Kopacz led that movement? Dave Kopacz was calling people all around the state, saying, we're not going to give up. They kicked out the conservatives from MARA, but we need to go and take this over. I remember one MARA chapter member from Chapter 4 telling me that she'd given up. She'd given up on MARA. The kangaroo court discouraged her, and she was giving up. But because Dave called her personally and said, don't give up, go to the convention, she believed and we took it over. MARA simply would not exist today as a conservative entity if it wasn't for Dave Kopacz. I was there, I witnessed this. Many of you were there that day and witnessed this too. If Dave wasn't there, MARA faced certain destruction. Did you know at the time that Dave was elected MARA president 4 years ago, MARA had no money? Did you know 4 years ago when Dave was elected as MARA president, we fielded almost no candidates? Did you know that after Dave was elected president of MARA, the secretary promptly quit, other board of directors promptly quit because there was lots of infighting going on? Did you know Dave, within his first month of being president, after all that, was sued by the Mass GOP for using the name Republican in the word Massachusetts Republican Assembly? I mean, to be dumped that kind of plate was very tough. No money, no candidates, infighting. We only had a few chapters up and running and then. But he took it in stride and he got through all this stuff. Despite all that adversity and much, much more, under Dave's leadership methods, the chapters and membership thrived with the help of all of you. Did you know that that never happened under any other leader of MARA? MARA was fumbling along. And and bumbling along and turning to the moderates. They were taking it over. Did you know that despite all of that, in 2014, Myra fielded numerous candidates, from multiple school committee candidates to state rep candidates to state senate candidates, governor's council, U.S. rep, U.S. senate, and mass governor. All within 4 years after that kind of start. And did you know that thousands of dollars was donated to those candidates and others from Myra under Dave's leadership? Do you know that Tea Parties, Anti-Common Core, Anti-Gender 21, Pro-Life, Pro-Family, Second Amendment groups were all welcomed into Myra by Dave Kopacz under his leadership? That didn't happen before. Those folks were excluded from the assembly. Did you know during all that, Dave stood firmly in opposition to UN encroachments on our nation's sovereignty and was willing and able to facilitate Agenda 21 seminars in support of our freedoms? He's fighting for us all the time. Dave one time even worked to help save a family goat farmer from tyranny. That was awesome. That was awesome. All right. That's why while he was president of Myra, he's dealing with us all this other stuff. Do you know that Dave Kopacz never compromises on life, liberty, and limited government? I do too. Do you know that Dave never compromises principle for politics? I do.
Absolutely.
I know all that and a lot more. Let me end this the same way I started. Nobody in Myra has earned more respect from me than Dave Kopacz has. Thank you, Dave, for saving Myra, and thank you for always fighting for life, liberty, and limited government.
Next we have Vic Lehman.
Oh.
I only have one thing to add to what Tim said. I'm Vic Lewis from Miracore. At our most recent chapter meeting, we voted unanimously that we would like to present you with this, Dave, so if you could come up. I wish I was handing you this at the convention, but here it is. You have earned it.
What does it say?
What does it say? What's that? Oh, there is? Oh, okay. Go sit down. I apologize, I forgot.
That's okay, I'm usually forgettable.
Long list.
I didn't write up my remarks as professionally as Tim did, sorry. And I'm dressed kind of casually because this is to tribute to the Hillbilly Rebel. My rebel code. We protest and we go out prepared for whoever, bring it on, bring it on. I met Dave, I'll talk a little bit about Mara and Dave's service tomorrow later, but I wanted to talk about the man. I met Dave probably 6 years ago at the Tax Day Tea Party rally in Springfield. And that was the first time I'd come across a lot of people in this room and a whole lot of other patriot fighters. And this gentleman here was out there with 2 flags on birch branches, holding them up for hours and walking around. And I saw him at several protests and rallies after that, always with those same 2 branches in. He's hardcore. and I love that. I wanted to talk a little about, I did make some notes, so. The leadership qualities that Dave has is an inspiration, not just to me, but to so many people. His patience, his ability to build other people up, and make leaders out of people he meets on the street. He's just chatting on a bus, and he's building them up and making a leader and empowering them to go out there and find and recruit and, talk to people. I can't do that. I have a hard time just, even talking to a person in an elevator. He's got them out at a rally 5 minutes after he's met them. When I went to church last Sunday, the sermon that the pastor gave us, it was just so spot on to everything that's happening. He's uncanny in his ability to just tap into what's going on. I think God has a direct line between me and my pastor. He was talking about unity and uniformity in the body of Christ, and he used an analogy that was apropos. He was talking about there can be the uniformity there. Two chickens can be tied by the leg, one leg, one chicken tied to another. They have uniformity, but they do not have unity. Dave is a man who's built unity between chapters, between people, between factions, like was said by Tim Sullivan. This is something that he's worked on, empowering people. Unfortunately, we do have forces that work against us constantly, and they cause division. We have, I think one of Satan's biggest weapons is when he causes somebody to take offense at something. We can all take offense at something or another. I might not like your purple shirt. Should we let something like that divide us? Absolutely not. There's some excellent, my pastor, I brought it with me, my pastor was so spot on. He was showing exactly where in the Bible we need to find the qualities of men like Dave. Ephesians 4:1, with all lowliness and meekness. I don't have the actual, maybe you can read it for me? Want to read? Sure, Ephesians 4:1.
We read that.
Did we read that?
We
Oh,
did.
wow.
Exactly,
Okay.
that's exactly what we read
all right.
earlier.
Okay. How about we go to
There you go.
we go to Psalm 133 then. We just read that quickly.
That's good.
Psalm 133 talks about, you'll hear it in just a second, how pleasant it is for brothers in Christ to dwell together in unity.
133. First one?
The whole thing. It's very
It's
quick.
very small. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head, that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garments, as the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descends upon the mountains of Zion. For there the Lord commanded the blessing, even life forevermore.
I didn't even talk about your beard. I just, there's so much we could say about his service tomorrow. Tim covered much of it, thank you, Tim, because I wouldn't be able to take it off my head.
Thank Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
But he's the leader that is meek but never powerless, just like Jesus Christ. Meek but not powerless. Remember Jesus when he went into the temple? This is what we're out here doing. This is what we're told to do. This is what we're commanded to do. And I have a couple of gifts. And I guess one of them I'll start with. You don't mind if I open the gifts for you? I was, this was a real quick thing. And I was looking for something to buy for you. And, plaques are great. I love the plaque. But I wanted to give you something from the heart. This thing has been with me from rallies from New Hampshire to Nashville to DC to Springfield.
Liberty Bell.
And I tried to quiet it so that you didn't hear it when we went. And take with you. And then I have one other thing. Hey, you can come up here because I guess you're going to speak next.
Got my turn now.
I'll shut up. This is some friends of ours and Dave and me at a parade that we, Freedom Riders, rode in a couple years back. Chesterfield, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spud and some was it Southwick? One of the things I really love about this, I love the people in this photo, but if you take a look at this, and maybe Dave will be kind enough to pass it around. The horses are so funny because one of them he's kind of braying at the other one, and the other one's looking at him like, oh no you didn't. And this horse that Spud is riding reminds me of you and me and all of us going, you're not going to tell us. We're going to tell you. So that's for you.
That is wonderful.
Can I give one more thing away? Since Mary Lou was not here, and she gave this to me last year, I thought you should have this. As one of our newest, loudest, and bestest.
Before Dave gives us a couple words, how many people are here, are part of Mara because of Dave? Okay. Excellent, excellent. Now, how many people are here because of somebody, one of those people? Okay, you're here because of Dave.
You're here because
Okay.
of one of the people that's brought Dave.
You're here because of Dave. So
Yeah,
every,
I was here because of Dave.
Right.
okay. So if you're here because of one of the people that's here because of Dave, you're here because of Dave. Right?
Yeah.
So I think everybody in this room is here because of Dave.
Yeah, I think Brian Kammerker, he's here because he's Dave. I'm here because of Brian Kammerker. That means I'm here because of
Right.
Dave.
I don't know what to say. That I usually pick up on people sneaking around and doing things. This is a first. I truly was surprised at this, and I want to thank every single one of you. This is super special. Spud is a very down-to-earth guy. I got to be best friends with him in a short amount of time. I remember calling around to what originally brought me to him is that I was so frustrated that we could not get attention to key issues. And at the time, we were dealing with some massive bailouts that have created an unserviceable amount of debt on the people of this country. And I just didn't know what to do to bring attention to that. And I wanted to take off approximately 21 days and ride Knox Trail from one end to the other on horseback. And just about every night we stopped and set up camp somewhere would be a rally every single night to land in Boston on the 4th of July. So I got a list of every horse farm and equestrian place that I could. And I started calling around asking, you know, if I would be able to get some support in the early planning of this. And almost every person said, you gotta talk to Spud. This is the guy for you. And I called up Spud, and I didn't even get to finish explaining what I was doing, and he was in. He trailered horses around to parades and did an awful lot for us just because I asked him. And, you know, he was such an inspiration to me. He's where I get that gritty part of me that doesn't like to apply for rights, which I've kind of spoken about a few times. And he was the primary motivator for that. He passed away not too long ago. Heck of a nice guy. And, you know, his sons, they didn't fall far from the tree. And I know the next time I want to set up a dozen horses and parade through the center of town, this man's sons will be trailing a horse and bell. But they believe in what we're doing. They believe in this country. And, you know, as I worked through my activist life, once I did wake up and get out there, try to make up for lost time. You know, every time you shake a hand, you never know when you're going to meet someone special. And there's a lot of them right here in this room right now. You just never know who you're talking to, who's going to pick up the ball and run. Jolene, right now, she's on fire currently with this Common Core.
Yeah.
of that in every single person in this room. I've often said that we've all got to be leaders in our own respect, and I believe in that. Leaders come and go. Problems are always there. But we need to take charge, and what Jim was talking about earlier, building the base, is so incredibly important. And the base really starts with your family. All this good that ever came was nurtured from a caring, loving family. And I hope going forward that we can all emulate and foster that message in the connections that we do make out there. Although we're all political activists in what we do, we got to appear to be warm-blooded people that really care about stuff, and that we're rooted in our families, because our families are under attack. Marriage is under attack. Our kids' mind is under attack.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, there is nothing that a school or a Department of Education can fix or screw up that a family can't fix. If your child is on drugs, if you're eating dinner every night with your children, you'll know. If there's a problem, you spend the time with your children, you invest in them. This is an investment, not just children to raise and cut loose. These are investments in our own future. And, this man was a good example of that. His 4 sons were very grounded. There's nothing they wouldn't do. Any one of you could walk up to these guys, a total stranger, and ask for their help, and they would give it. I really, truly feel undeserving. I spent a lot of years inactive. I would go out and vote, and that was about it. I didn't educate myself thoroughly on the people I was even voting for. I looked at it as kind of a passive, take it or leave it type of obligation or participation in the system. And that all changed when I finally reached my boiling point, and I had to get more involved. And I said, I am going to try to get myself to the RNC. This was back in 2007, 2008. And I did. I went out and did the homework, learned the rules, learned who some of the players were. I made a lot of phone calls. And lo and behold, I show up on caucus day. There was a lot of chatter early on. One of the biggest caucuses we've ever had. And we were just about topping off at 90 people. And as a first timer doing this, I could not believe the numbers I was hearing. I thought it was small for what it was, for the importance of what it was. 90 people to elect delegates to go to the RNC was not a big crosscut of the number of people in the district that it was represented. I was a little bit shocked at that. But I worked the room. By the time a lot of the establishment guys showed up, I was on lap 3. I'd been around and I talked to everybody there, shook hands, and got to meet a lot of nice people. And most of you know, and right now is no different. I rarely read from the script. I get up, I have a few thoughts in my head that I want to expound on and speak from the heart. And I did that day. And, I got myself elected over representatives and sheriffs and senators and all kinds of things. And it was because I appealed to that family part of what really connects us. As I made the rounds in the room, I didn't talk too much about politics. I did a little. I shared my views, and I was firm in the socially conservative ones as well. I'm not bashful about that, and I wasn't at the time. But what won the day is that I listened to them. I paid attention to them and what they were saying. And I literally spent more time talking about planting gardens and feeding the wild birds with some of the ladies that were there than I did about politics. Sometimes people just want to be heard and know that they count.
Right.
In the system, describe it as dirty would be an understatement. I learned that by the time we get up there at the general to vote, all the decisions have been made. That the delegates in the backroom meetings, they've selected the candidates. We get to elect who our representatives are, but we don't get to select who they are. That's done for us. So I learned the rules, and I keep hammering away to this day. And what Jim alluded to earlier about establishing that base is so important. You know, that your family's the first base, and then you move out from there. Your community, you've got to be a presence in your community. Everybody in this room, there's got to be an upstanding, visible presence in your community. There's got to be a position. I would like to see as a goal for Chapter 2 to have as close to 100% participation in municipal government, and at least one board of commission by every member. I think myself, I got into it to do just a term or two in municipal government, just to say that I did, to participate and get in it, and I enjoyed it, and I'm still there. And I think that's something that we all could benefit from, even if it is just for one term, to get in and see how political sausage is made in your town. And there's a lot of good that can come about. I'm hoping Jolene's going to be leading the way for us with Common Core. What a wonderful, wonderful vehicle. It is an issue. It can be apolitical. We can attract the unenrolled. That's who we're after. I'm occasionally criticized for inviting unenrolled people into this room. And I'm here to say that if you've only got barely in the double digits registered Republicans in the state of Massachusetts, if your target is not unenrolled voters, who is it? The most conservative people out there are unenrolled voters. You gotta go after them. And in the process of doing that, you know, we see a lot of examples of unprincipled activity out there, and I see no reason why we should shy away from anything that this organization stands for. Wear it proudly on your sleeve. You know, if we get out there and our candidates run on the issues, there's always going to be issues of the day. Those change from one election cycle to the other. But when they get to those things where compromise is morally unacceptable, we've got to stand quickly and staunchly against those things. It is simply a part of who you are. I don't say that we have to incorporate this into your 3 primary campaign messages, but when someone comes in and tries to throw you a curveball on marriage, you got to say no. There's a time and a place to say no, and that is one of them. Killing babies is an unacceptable practice, and there's an organization in this state that does not condone that in any way, shape, or form. You never should, and this is it. So, again, I don't know how to thank you other than thanking each and every one of you. I mean, all the things that Tim mentioned, you know, I'm just one person. What brought it together was the numbers. It was a collection of individuals doing very extraordinary things. So
That you brought together.
Yeah, that extraordinary leader.
So I would accept these only in total recognition of those that brought it full circle and was able to get the work done. So for that, I thank you all for your.
There is a cake back there that I would suggest you get a picture of. It says, "Thank you, Dave," on it. And it is for our meeting tonight, and, I'm not sure that you know.
This is the cake. All right.
And they just want you to make a cut on it.
Oh, you guys are way too kind.
I'll just start with this. All right, okay.
Thanks, Dave.
I got you angry and you just took over from there.
No. That first night, when I had leave, I was upset. That chief line, when you and I got set up so that I was going to raise my hand and ask questions, that's when I was going to announce my first group.
They looked exactly like
stood up
you.
and walked right up to you. Thank you. They didn't like you. That's when I decided that.
Take the bull by the horns.
Yeah.
Good. And look at you, just started another group today.
Right.
You're one of those.